Hello, crafters, or should I say, hello, flappers. It is the costumey time of year, and of course the holidays are coming as well, so it's a great time to, bust out some of your vintage flair and just have fun with it, right? Except, has this ever happened to you? You've put together a great retro outfit, historically inspired outfit, only to discover that the weather has not agreed with your fashion choice. Yeah, maybe your shoes aren't right, maybe the hat's not gonna hold up to the weather conditions. Something's wrong and your vintage outfit is challenging to pull off. Yes, well, that happens to me all the time. And now that it is cooler weather and it's, getting pretty chilly in the mornings here, I've discovered I really need some vintage layering pieces. I have dresses and things like that, but a little outerwear would be nice, especially kind of a 1920s themed piece would be awesome. Now, being the lazy flapper that I am, I wanted to create something pretty simple that I could possibly do in a day or an afternoon. I was thinking of kind of like a wrap or, maybe like a cape of some nature. So I searched Pinterest and Etsy and I found some beautiful patterns, but a lot of them were just going to be a little bit more involved than I was lazy enough to tackle at the time. So I kind of scratched the cape idea for right now, but then I found a pattern I'd actually been eyeing for a while for a 1920s kimono-style robe. Kind of a square cut, wide sleeves, etc. Now, this pattern was designed to be a beach cover-up or, more like a bathrobe type of piece, but I kind of liked the shape and it made me think maybe I could make more of like an evening wear jacket with it, depending on the fabric choice. The pattern did say pretty easy, pretty straightforward and simple, and this is actually a cool one that you could draft yourself. So I was thinking, okay, this might work, and I think I'm gonna try it. I do have some fabric ready to go. I have downloaded the pattern, which I love being able to do. I will definitely link to the Etsy seller down below, and I will dive right in. Let's try this thing. Let's try to make 1920s outerwear of fabulousness. Yes. We've got this, flappers. Let's try it. Here is the booklet that came with the pattern. This is going to tell me how to draft the pattern and how to put it together. It's also got some kind of modernized sewing tips on here to show me how things should work. So pretty excited. I could, of course, also print the paper pattern if I wanted, but I think I can figure out this drafting. So let's dive in. Of course, super cute illustrations. We have our Asian inspired kimono. You could be, beach look. It could be more the bathrobe. Love the vintage illustrations. Okay, they're giving me some fabric tips here, which I'm afraid I'm going against for this project, but definitely want to try something in more of like a lighter weight silk one of these days. That could be so cute. Okay, so I started doing a little scribbling on this page. I think this is more of the original directions. It took me a few minutes to try to figure out what was going on there, and I was really glad that they gave us kind of the more updated version of the pattern on this page, kind of telling you some more of the directions and dimensions. From what I can tell, we're going to use, part of our fabric will just be a band that we're going to cut off, actually. This will become cuffs for around the neck and around the sleeve. So let's see. Say that we remove that. And then part of the fabric will become the rectangular sleeve. So let's say we remove that. And then the rest is going to be the body of the garment. Our kind of neck holes here. So our head would come out here, right? So here are the shoulders. The front part of the fabric becomes the front of the garment and the back becomes the back. I think I get it. Let's now look at my fabric. Well, here is my piece of very fabulous kind of crushed velvet look. Velour. Oh my goodness. Yes, I got this for a previous costume project, and it has been sitting in my fabric stash for a long time because I just couldn't figure out what to do with it. But I think it's time to turn it into a very fabulous 1920s kimono, robe, jacket, wrap, coat, thingy. So, as you might have noticed, my fabric is, well, it's kind of an odd shape. You can see I have part of it folded over there in the back. The rest in the front is not folded. I did some measuring, and my piece of fabric is about almost 60 inches square. I got this as a remnant, so that's the size. The pattern suggests getting 3 yards of 36-inch wide fabric. Yeah, so my fabric is quite different in dimensions. It's pretty wide, and it's not quite as long as they recommend. So I'm gonna have to do things a little differently. I still want to try it. I think it'll be fine. I might have to do some piecing and such, but let's try it. Notice the folded over part in the back? Well, that's the part I need for the body of the garment. It's 24 inches folded in half. So that will be, you know, the front and the back. There will be a neck hole cut on the fold there, and so that's the back piece. Then I have quite a bit of extra non-folded fabric over here. This normally, according to the pattern, would be what I would use to cut about 12 inches or so for the cuff around the neck and the cuff of the sleeves. I have so much extra fabric, though, that I think I'm also going to cut the sleeves themselves from this extra non-folded fabric. If I have extra in addition to that, I might also save a couple pieces to add some length to the body of the garment. Because even if I'm not cutting the sleeves from this folded section as the pattern drafting suggests, it's still going to be pretty short compared to what the pattern direction says. I think, according to the pattern, I would have a length of around 80 something for the body of the garment, but I've only got about 60. So might need to do some piecing. Definitely gonna look a little different while I'm cutting this out and such, so it'll look different from the diagram, but I think I get what I need to do. Let's try it. Phew, alright, well that's a lot of pinning. I used pins instead of tailor's chalk to mark my lines on this fabric, and you can see a whole bunch of little tiny dots. Let's look at a few. I'll check out the back panel there in a minute. It's already measured out to be what it needs to be for the body of the garment, so we'll get back to that one. But my first step was measuring off a 12-inch band off one side of the fabric here. Very hard to see those little tiny pin heads, but measured off 12 inches all along that edge of the fabric. That's going to be cuffs, so I saved that. And then super cool, the distance between my cuff edge and the folded over piece in the back was about 24 inches. And I need 24-inch chunks for my sleeves. Kind of hard to see, but I got about 12 inches there and 24 up there, so rectangle there. And another rectangle there following these little pin dots. Sleeve 1 and sleeve 2 right there. Now that means I've got a lot of extra fabric here in the middle, but I am going to need some sleeve cuffs, and I'm not entirely sure what length I want those to be, so I'm going to cut those a little later once I try this on. I'm probably also going to need to add some length to the back panel, so definitely saving that. Let's check out that back panel piece and see what's going on. Okay, so we're looking at our piece of 24-inch wide fabric that's now folded over into a 12-inch tube, basically. I used our directions to figure out where to put this kind of triangle shape back here. That's going to be the neckline. So I will cut along those pins and also cut down to the end, and that will make the neckline and the opening for the front of the garment. And of course the rest of this piece going back here will be the back of the garment. So man, I have lots and lots of pins everywhere. And I'm going to use those to show me how to cut this out. So I'm going to get to cutting. Whew. Well, I think we've got it cut out. You can tell over to the right, over here, I've got that really long piece that's going to turn into cuffs for the neckline and maybe some cuffs for the sleeves, but I have extra fabric for that, so we'll find out. Then, of course, over here we have our two sleeves, and then we have the main body panel in the back that is folded over. It's got a little triangle cut out of it for the neckline. And it's, yeah, I think we've got most of the pieces now. I've also started covering my room and self with lots of brown fuzz from this lovely velour, so that's an added bonus. I think my next step is to attach the sleeves. Okay, so I've been checking the pattern and I'm going to figure out the placement for my sleeves. Okay, so here's my back neck hole. I want to measure 12 inches up and then 12 inches down because my sleeves are 24 inches long. Let's see here. Okay, so starting from right about there. Okay, so I'm going to mark it on this side of the fabric, and I also want to mark on the other side as well so that I know where's the start, the sleeves. Okay, so let's get 12 inches going the other way. Alright, that's right about there. And marking it on both sides. Whew. Okay, so now I've got that marked. Kind of just open this up a little bit. Whew. Hello. Main body of the kimono. Very cool. Got our neck hole here in the front. Back there. Here's the front sides. Okay, so then I need to attach my sleeves here, and once the whole thing is folded in half, I'll sew up the side seams. I am going a little bit rogue from the pattern. They were suggesting folding this in half and sewing the side seams underneath the arms first. I'm not going to do that right now, but if I was French seaming, as they suggest, for like a more permanent garment or a fabric that's really ravelly, I might take them up on that, but I'm going rogue, man. I'm going to pin the sleeves on, right sides together, And then I'm going to stitch up along where I'm pinning here. And then once it's opened up, you know, you should have a sleeve. We'll fold the whole garment in half. Ooh, very hard to see. And then we'd have, I don't know if you can even see that at all. But if this was the front of the garment, then we'll have a sleeve coming out and we'll be able to sew up the sleeve closed and sew the side of the garment closed. That probably doesn't make any sense. Let's pin these sleeves on, sew these guys on first, and then I'll get back to you. Hopefully it'll look a little better. Here we go. Oh my goodness. Hey, well, it's starting to actually look kind of like a jacket. So here's where I stitched on the sleeves over there, right along there. And now I have kind of folded the garment as it should be. And now I've pinned down the side seams. I'm going to stitch right underneath the sleeve, and I'm just going to keep that seam going down all the way down the base of the garment. Again, this is different than the directions are suggesting, and if you're using a different fabric and are doing their French seams that are suggested, you'll probably do this a little differently, but I'm kind of being a cheapskate, and since I'm doing this for a costume, I'm kind of going down and dirty and quick. So I'm going to sew those side seams, and oh, you might also notice I have some extra fabric in the front pieces. I think that's probably because I put the neck hole in a little bit off. I might have put the sleeves on a little bit off as well. So I have to trim up some edges and do a little bit of stitching to get this into a coat. Well, it's looking like a kimono-style robe, but I had to complicate things. I always do. I tried this on, and I'm actually liking the way it looks. It's pretty comfortable. It was a little short, though, you know, as I knew it would be. So, you might look at the bottom. Yeah, let's look down here. So, taking some of the extra fabric, I pieced it together to create an extra band at the bottom of the jacket. So I got a little bit more length. That of course meant though, I had to add more fabric on the piece that's going to become the collar going around the neck, because it's going to go all around the neck and it's supposed to come down to the base of the garment. So if I lengthen the garment, I have to lengthen that. Thankfully I had like just enough fabric to do that, and I made some little bands to go as cuffs on the sleeves. Oh my goodness gracious. So, did that complicate things? Yes, but I'm also going to use this extra fabric down here to hem the bottom of the jacket. I think what I'm going to do is, kind of like they recommended for the collar, I'm going to bring up this fabric, kind of roll the edge under, and kind of try to pin it down, and I'll stitch right along here. Probably just do a little bit of hand stitching right there to tack that down, and then I'll get this really nice finished edge and kind of like a fluffy little cuff on the bottom of the jacket. So I did add a little length and a little more work, okay, a lot more work, but I'm going to use that to finish the garment. I'm going to do a similar thing to put on the collar. I will, let's just see here. Okay, so I'm gonna pin this going all around the neck. I'm gonna pin it right sides together, stitch that, and then I'll kind of fold this over, hand stitch it on the other side, and we'll get a thick collar going around. I also need to add the cuffs to the sleeves. We'll see, I might just get lazy. Sew these into tubes. Like, you know, sew a tube, turn it right side out so it's fuzzy side out, and then just sew that to the edge of the sleeve to finish the sleeve. We'll see. Ha! I think what I'm going to do is pin these things down, machine stitch what I need to machine stitch, and then make a cup of tea, get a brownie, turn on some YouTube videos, and do a little hand stitching. So I think these next couple steps are going to take a little bit of time, but I think I know what I need to do, and yeah, I'm just going to make a cup of tea. I'm going to roll with it, and I will show you guys when it's done. Well, flappers, we're almost done with this project, but you know what? No self-respecting flapper would pass up the opportunity to make some matching accessories. So obviously we have to do the same. And I had just enough fabric left to create a few circles. I traced some bowls and cups in my kitchen to try to get 3 different sizes. I also have some extra little rectangle pieces I'm going to use, and I think I want to make these into kind of like little flower shapes, maybe some leaves, and then I'm going to use hot glue to glue those to a felt base and then attach that to some of my little clip-ins, clippies. You might have noticed that I have some stitching going around the outside of this one. I'm just going to show you the process I want to do on each of these circles. I'm going to pull on this thread and try to cinch this up into kind of a circle. I used white thread so you could see it better, but you could use a matching thread as well. Oh, so there we go. It kind of makes like a little pouch almost. But if I cinch that tight and tied it down, I think it's going to make kind of like a little flower shape. I think this might be what you call a yo-yo. I'm not sure. But if I made several of those, and then maybe I'll take the fabric in the rectangles and instead of using the fuzzy side, maybe use the back. And I might like use the glue gun to try to kind of glue it into kind of a leaf shape. Maybe. Goodness, yeah, this brown fuzz is going everywhere. But, you know, we'll see. Maybe like a little leaf and a couple flowers or two. Yeah, let's try this. I think this will work. Well, I stitched up the blooms. I glued the leaves. Now, they do not look too pretty on the back. I was just folding the edges in and trying to glue it down and try to minimize some of that fuzz. But, you know, we're flappers. Sometimes we cut corners. It's okay. So we got the leaves, we got the flowers. I also cut out some bases out of my felt and some little attachment strips. We'll see those in a moment. I think what I'm going to do is try to kind of cluster maybe the 2 smaller flowers onto one of the bases, and maybe I'll use the smaller leaf. Now, I'm going to have to play around with where I want these, but I'll probably hot glue the leaf down first and then get the blooms kind of over it. You know, maybe we should go, I don't know. Just kind of play around with it until I find an arrangement I like covering up most of the base. Yeah, okay, so once those are glued to the base, then I can attach the backing. But let's see, we've got that little guy. He's pretty cute. Let's, I think we're gonna do the same thing with the bigger bloom and the bigger leaf. And then hopefully we'll have the two little clusters, and then we'll get the backings on there. Okay, everything's glued on down to the base. And these guys should be ready to attach our backing. A lot of different backings you could use here. I'm just kind of using these little clippies that could be used for hair. You could also clip these onto a belt or a hat. So that's kind of a fun idea. I'm going to take our extra little pieces, and once I've glued the flat end of our clippy onto the felt, I'm going to let that, harden, make sure that's securely there. And then I'm going to add a little bit of glue kind of along here and along the edge of the felt. And then I'm going to glue this down into the center to just give extra security to keep this little clip there and attached to the felt. So I'm going to hot glue that, and then I'll show you what that looks like when it's done. Okay, these guys are all done. Got the backings on there. Glued the metal pieces down and secured with a little extra felt. I think that should be good to go. All right, well, I'm gonna go through my stash and find some scarves, maybe try out some jewelry, put an outfit together, and get all flapper fabulous with my new accessories, and I'll show you what they look like. Well, crafters, or should I say flappers, hope you enjoyed this project. It was really fun to tackle a historical sewing project that was about kind of a day-long project or so. I definitely could have sped it up a little bit if the fabric I had matched the pattern requirements, etc. And of course, making the accessories I think took about an hour extra, but I think it was worth it. It was a lot of fun to wear, like super swooshy and comfortable, and definitely felt like a flappery, fun piece. I look forward to wearing it more with some of my vintagey looks. So, fun project. Might want to make more of this pattern as well. I will definitely link to that pattern in the description if you want to check that out. And if you found this video amusing, punch that like button to let me know, and subscribe for more fun costumes and crafty goodness coming to you from Partners in Craft. You can also check out our blog at partnersincraft.com. Hope you guys are having a beautiful October, and I will see you guys soon. Bye!